You've heard it said, the first million's the hardest. The second million is way easier. And there's a reason for that. If you want to know the reason why the second million is the easiest, check this out. So this is one of the first lessons that I learned, and it actually, whether you realize it or not, comes from the very first page of the very first chapter of the very first book of the Bible. And I still remember to this day the day that I received in the mail that award right there. Now, people heckle that award now because there's like people who fake the award, or like they sell two $500,000 houses with it, and they're like, "Ah, he sold $1 million," and they like get that award. This was like legit $1 million in sales, about 70-ish% profit margin. And so, it was significant for me in my life, especially coming from the place where before this I was broke and homeless and stuff like that. And if you've ever had a big goal, like something that you were trying to do for a long time, I mean, look, making $1 million is pretty significant, right? And if you're a influencer or entrepreneur or movement leader, I imagine $1 million would make a big difference to what you're trying to accomplish. Whether you're chasing money or not chasing money, I don't really believe in chasing money. Not a good idea. Usually runs away. But I want to tell you about why the second million is the easiest. So when I received this award, it came in a context for me, and the context was the context was 4 years of utter failure. That's what it was. The context was like falling on my face again and again and again. It was 3 years of just promising myself, promising my kids, promising other people, putting it out there like I'm gonna get my 2 Comma Club award, and it's like this entrepreneurial goal. Like it feels like you've arrived when you got there, but really like the game is hardly even beginning. It's like, taking the first 3 steps out of a race, even though most businesses don't get there. And people see it and they're like, wow. Like people come to us, they're like, what's that? I'd be like, oh, that's for doing. Now we have lots more of those that we've never applied for and stuff like that. I probably should do that because my wall would look pretty epic with a bunch more awards on there. So I need to do that. But nevertheless, um, what people don't know is the year before I received the award, there's a conference that people go to called Funnel Hacking Live. Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels puts it on. Who's now a mentor to me, and was a mentor then, but now is a paid mentor to me. And the year before, I actually skipped going to the conference, which was very important to me. I had so much fun. I got so much good stuff out of it, but I was so embarrassed. If you see me looking this way, it's because my son Alex is right here, and he may not know the story. Say what's up, Alex. Yeah, I knew you'd do that. So the year before I got that award, I literally didn't show up at Funnel Hacking Live. And the reason that I didn't is because I was so embarrassed that I didn't. It was extremely emotional to me. I felt like such a loser. I was just like, other people I knew and was connected to were getting it. And I was, well, to be plain, I was still struggling. There were lots of cool things that I was doing that people knew about, but there were lots of messes in the middle of all that other stuff, and our net profits before that wasn't very big. And so when I did receive it, when I finally hit it for the first time, it arrives in a big old box, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's here. And like, I didn't even open it yet because I wanted to open it on camera and I wanted everything to be right. And there was all this stuff. It actually sat in the box for a few days, may even been a few weeks. And, but the day that I knew that I was going to get it before it actually arrived in the mail, you apply and you have to prove it and all this stuff. And, I remember realizing that I hit $1 million in sales, and I was like, wow. And this was before we ever had $1 million day, for example. And that was a different experience. But we had we had moved into a mansion, which was our first mansion, and we had moved out of a townhouse apartment that we could barely make the payments on. Everything shifted so quickly. But I walked outside, and this is why the second million is the easiest. When I walked outside, there was a golf cart and a golf course behind our house there. And I got on the course and I got like on the walkway and I put some headphones in and I was listening to some worship music and I was trying to understand the feelings that I had in that moment because I felt something. Like I I'd done something, like something had happened. And I had already made the money, so it wasn't the money. There was a somberness that I felt. I was grappling, with the feelings that I was having inside myself. I couldn't accurately express. And so, um, as I'm listening to this worship music, like I started crying on the golf cart, and there were no golfers around, luckily, looking at me like, man, that must have been a really bad shot, right? You know, and so I'm crying, and I'm walking on the cart path of the golf course, and I was just searching for the reason, like, why am I feeling the way that I am? And that's when, boom, it hit me. And I realized for the first time in a long time, I was proud of myself. Not proud of what I'd done, even though it was the achievement. Like, I was proud of the person I had become. I was proud that I had become someone capable. I was proud of the fact that I was making the world better. Not in a prideful way, far from it. Like I was humbled, and to be honest, there was some sadness mixed in with it because it took me so long. And like once you do it, you realize like, well, on one respect, you're like, it really wasn't that hard, but then you're like, it was really that hard. But what was the thing that made it so hard? And I realized that I was sad because I had fought myself in the battle to become for so long. Has anyone here ever fought themselves? Say fought in the chat below, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or wherever, like fought. You ever fought yourself? The battle that you're having to win isn't actually a battle against other things. The battle is against yourself. I used to always tell my son the greatest opponent you'll ever face is yourself. I had been in this battle to become, and when you're in a battle to become, you're afraid to put stuff out. When you're in a battle to become, you're afraid to do the thing. You're afraid of how people will look at you. You're afraid to fail. You're afraid of the struggle. You're afraid to lose money. You're afraid, right? There's all this fear, and it because it's a battle to become when you actually have to bet on yourself. You got to put the money down to bet on you. Don't worry, I'm getting to the scripture part, right? When bad stuff happens and you have to decide, like, was it me? And even if it was me, what do I need to shift? And am I okay with the fact that I suck? And so, does anybody here know about the battle in yourself? And so, some of you, I'm looking at my notes here. Some of you will straight fight dirty with yourself to stop yourself from being everything you can be. You know this is true and right. I know I'm talking to somebody. It's Sunday and you ain't at church. I hope you're not at church if you're watching this. Like it's Sunday, and so you will literally fight dirty against yourself to stop yourself and give yourself every excuse and every reason why you can't be the version of yourself that you feel called to become. And so this is the battle. This is the difficulty of becoming. It's becoming the version of yourself that you want to be. And it was in that moment on the golf cart, sitting there, like I'm looking at my son sitting there, knowing that this award was coming in the mail, that I realized it wasn't what I did that mattered. It was who I'd become. It wasn't what I had that mattered. It was who I'd become. It didn't matter how the haters judged me. It mattered who I had become. You could take everything from me in that moment, but I had become something capable of producing at a level that I was not capable of producing at before, because I had become something. Somebody just say I'm becoming something. I'm becoming something right now. I'm becoming something. Things may be hard, but I'm becoming something. I may be fighting myself, but I'm becoming something. I may feel adversity in my world, but I'm becoming something. And so this look in the mirror for the first time in years, I'd actually taken the time, because I'd just been really chasing money, which was part of the problem, right? But I took a pause to look at the person who I'd become in the world. And I don't know how else to say what I experienced on that golf course, except like, I liked him. Yeah, bro. Come on, man. It's like I could see myself from my father's eyes, and he was beaming with joy. I felt like God was nudging the angels in heaven, right? Looking down and saying, look at him go. Yo, Michael, Gabriel, let's go. Check my boy out. He's becoming something. It's how I feel when I watch my son wrestle, and I saw him in the past year. Like, he's becoming something on the mats that he wasn't before. The grind and the pain and the struggles and the sweat and the tears and the pain and the injuries, all the things to become a version of himself that he wasn't before. It wasn't that I'd made $1 million. It's who I'd become. It wasn't that I'd worked so hard. It's who I become. Becoming. That's what's happening in your world right now. And you're either becoming something or you're staying stagnant, embracing your fear. It was in this context that I heard the voice. And the voice has said this a lot of times to me in my life. Usually it's in moments of extreme pain or extreme elation. And I heard the voice in this moment. The music was playing in my ears, but it rang loud and clear above the music. And the voice, after a long road of loneliness, trying to figure money out so I could fulfill what I felt called to do. Long road of head down, nose to the grindstone, long road of, since I'd taken a good look in the spiritual mirror, and the voice in the midst of this moment, this is what the voice said. It said, "You don't even know who you are." And I was like, what? I just thought about that. Like, you don't even know who you are. There was some love, but there was also a little bit of an element of rebuke in it. It reminded me of when the disciples tried to do miracles and then they failed and Jesus returned. And the disciples hadn't performed it. Like, there was needs in the community and they weren't meeting them. And he was frustrated with them. He said, "Oh, ye of little faith, how long must I suffer you?" I mean, he was asking for a miracle. He was upset that they weren't doing things that were exceptional or even miraculous in the eyes of other people. He rebuked them. How long do I have to suffer you? Like a dad who's annoyed with a teenager who can't manage to make their bed, right? How long must I suffer with these of so little faith? And that's the tone. That's the tone that I heard. You don't even know who you are. And I felt the more that I talked to influencers and entrepreneurs who feel called to movements, leaders that are leading movement, that there's this utterly kind of ugly and terrible and pervasive issue that's robbing you of where you could be right now and is robbing God. It's hard words. It's robbing God. There's love in it. It's not like, it's a little bit of that eye roll to the teenager, like, come on, what's happening here? Because your lack of understanding of your God-given identity is a significant spiritual issue. Oh, they didn't know that he was bringing that on Sunday. Probably should have kept that for Wednesday, right? And your lack of understanding of who you are, it's impacting every single aspect of your life. It's impacting your relationships. It's impacting your health. It's impacting your money. It's impacting the rate of growth, the rate of the ability of the growth of your movement. It's impacting your growth of your leadership. It's impacting your impact that you're called to make. Because when you don't know who you are, that is a significant spiritual issue. Am I preaching? Okay, Alex. Alex knows the punchline because he's heard this enough in his life. And so it's on the cart path by hole 13 that the feeling that I felt, right? You don't even know who you are. This sense of proud dad moment that was tainted by a sense of loss and sadness. There was a realization because I realized, like, when those words were spoken over me, that the ability to achieve the thing that I had before me for so long was always in me. And I was always capable. And I never lacked what I needed. Oh, that's a big sentence. And I never lacked what I needed. And that it was me. Somebody say me. It was my lack of belief in who God told me that I am that had delayed my destiny and destroyed some now dead dreams. My lack of belief. O ye of little faith. Maybe this isn't for everybody, but I have a feeling somebody listening to this needs to hear. You don't know who you are. You don't even know who you are. Genesis chapter 1. It's an origin story. You know the origin stories they have in the comic books where they try and get you well acquainted with the characters so you can understand their feelings of loss. You can feel their motivations. You can feel their pain. You can feel their weaknesses. You can feel their strength. Well, when God wrote an origin story about us, he did it in a book called Genesis, which is literally Greek for, yes, Greek, not Hebrew. It's Greek for origins or beginnings, same Greek word. This is literally the book of origins. Did you know that? Genesis is an origin story. Yeah. And in Genesis, the first thing God, here, you want to read that? You want to see the first thing God says about you? First thing it says about God, it says, in the beginning, God created. So we see him as initially creator. First thing he tells us about us is he says, verse 26, and God said, Genesis 1:26, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Verse 27, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. The first thing God told you about you is that you're made to be like him. And there's only one thing you really know about God in that moment. And the thing that you know about God is what? In the beginning, God created. So if God made you to be like him, what are you made to do? Answer? Create. By the way, that's what my shirt is. Imago Dei. It's Latin. It's this idea that there is something unique and holy and precious and in its own category of humanity. It's more evil to kill a human than it is to kill a fish or a cow or a dog or name that animal. Why? Because human beings are uniquely made in the image of God. But what if we're made to be like him? It says in his likeness. If we're made to be like him, what is like him? What does that mean? Well, what do we know about him? He's creator. Somebody say creator. Why is this important? Why is this important to you and your life right now and what you're trying to accomplish as a leader, a movement leader, a creator? Why is this important? Because we don't tend to think of ourselves as creators. We tend to think of ourselves as waiters. I'm a waiter, not a creator. Not a waiter like serving in the restaurant. I mean a waiter like, I'm just waiting on God, Alex, to give me the green light so that I can go. I'm talking real good. I'm going to go ahead and do it. Alex has heard this sermon before, but it's still good, right? I'm going to wait. And some of us are waiting on God, and God's waiting on us. I didn't mean to bring the heat like this first day, but it just is what it is. Okay. Some of you are waiting on God and God's waiting on you. Why? Because God has already given you the direction for what you need to do in your life, and you don't have to wait on a special word. You may want a special word. That's what I wanted. When I was running my nonprofit and failing and struggling with the financial resources to allow the movement, we were growing more than the money was growing. And because we weren't growing the money, the movement kept failing. We had to stop to go figure out how to make more money. And ultimately, it crushed the dream and the vision that God gave for me. Well, why? Because I didn't understand this. What didn't I understand? That I'm a creator. What does that mean? Well, when God created, what did he create? You can answer this a lot of ways, but one way you could answer it is he created worlds. He created worlds. Somebody say worlds. Worlds. So what do you create? Answer? Worlds. Like, I don't create worlds. I don't see any new planets hanging in the solar system. No. You create your world. Did you know, like, the world that you see, the way that you experience it is a result of what you have created? Now, have there been bad guys and girls who have come into your world and messed with your world? Yes, absolutely, 1000%. Are there people who've been the victims of pain and heartache and evil coming into their world and attacking their world? Yes. And have you had to figure out how to deal with that and make something in response to that? Yes, all those things are true. But in the midst of all that, you are a creator who creates your world. And many times it's very difficult. I heard a great professor say this once, and it stuck with me. He said it's difficult to discern. It's difficult to know true reality apart from how we discern it. Do I need to say that again, Alex? It's difficult to know true reality apart from how we perceive it. In other words, we see the world through a lens of our experiences. And then we believe the world to be, we believe the reality of the world to be the reality of our experience. But what if I told you that there is a world that's different than the world that you see, that is the real world? This sounds like some Matrix stuff, right? But this is part of me getting to $1 million and then doing $1 million days, because you may not see that for example, that there are resources everywhere for you, but the reality of the world is there's resources everywhere for you. You may not see that you have a network of people that can help you accomplish your dreams at a faster speed, faster rate, more successfully, more effectively than you ever thought before. You may not see that world. You may not perceive that to be the case. You may feel like everyone's against you, but the reality of the world is, the reason the world is that way is because you believe it to be so. Because God did not ill-equip you for the job that he's put on your plate, for the job that he's given you. Well, Joe, I don't even know what the job God gave me is. It's okay. I get it. I understand you don't know what you may not know that. So here, let me help you out, because if you don't know your mission in life, you don't know who you are. And it's a significant spiritual issue, and it's slowing you down. How many of you want to know? Like, Joe, what's my mission? Cool. I got you. Right? See, the crazy thing is, first page, first verse. In the beginning, God created. He tells you, here's your mission. I know this is bold. I'm like telling people what their purpose in life is, right? But here it is. Your mission is to create a better world. Facts. God's not done with creation. He made you. Why would the creator of the universe make you a creator? Why? If not, I mean, why does anyone who's a designer design something? He has a purpose and intention for it. What? To create. He wants you to join him in creating the world and making it better. And some of us struggle with that. We don't believe in ourselves. Like if God even came down from the heavens and appeared as a physical manifestation, theophany, and said, "Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to be an apple farmer." You'd be like, "Awesome," and you'd cry and be so excited, and God would disappear, and you'd be have clear direction, and then you'd go, "But what kind of apples? And where should my farm be? And what should I do with this or that?" And it's like, no, you're a creator. I want to lose some people here, Alex, today to make some decisions about your life. When God is ready to talk to you in such a way that he needs you to hear him, he is capable. I know a lot of people will tell you, but God speaks in a still small voice. And if you'll just listen, he's talking to you all the time. And I'm like, okay, ish. Yes, the heavens declare the glory of God, all that stuff. But you know what? Like, if God wants to talk to me, he could like write it in the sky. He could send a tornado. He could do the Elijah thing and speak in a still small voice. I heard it on the golf path. And he told me, "You don't even know who you are." So who are you? Answer, you're a creator. But Joe, what do I create? What did God create? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? No, I mean, he created everything. Yeah. But here's a weird answer. He created what he wanted to. Didn't he? I mean, if he didn't want to, he didn't have to. So he must have made what he wanted to, right? And so I'm trying to give some people some liberty here today. Like if you're new in the entrepreneur stage, or you know you feel a calling, you feel like you have a purpose for your life, but you're like, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna tell you a secret. Here's what you do. You ready? You ready? Create something you want to create. Well, I don't know what I want to create. Well, cool. Make a list of things that you think would be fun to create, and then pick one. Because God made a world out of an infinite number of possible worlds, like this one. Why? He wanted to. He wanted, like, he's like, I'd like to have some people made in my image, and I'd like them to breathe oxygen. And I'd like to have some trees there. I wonder if I could like make the trees breathe in the oxygen and then, breathe. I wonder, no, maybe I'll make the humans breathe in the oxygen and the trees. I doubt he messed it up. The trees breathe in carbon dioxide, and I'll have the humans breathe in oxygen, breathe out carbon dioxide, and trees breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen, and I'll have this like infinite system. Cool. What else? It'd be cool if they had like 2 legs and 2 hands. You know what I'm saying? Like he made decisions, he made choices, right? And so if God made you to be in his image, in other words, to mirror and be like him, I am not telling you you are a God or you are the God by any stretch of the imagination. But what I am saying is that you're made to be like God. And what we know about God there is that he's a creator. Well, creators have to imagine a world that they want to experience, and then they have to go to work creating that world. And that's the game. Like that's what we're called to do. And so in my last minute here, like that's really all I wanted to hit. I just want you to know, like what I'm seeing, like one of the biggest struggles is that we don't even know who we are. And once you actually believe that God is your creator and that you were made to be like him, well, then you can believe that, well, I am made to create. And so then you'll have liberty to create what you want. Now, it's important to note, God made a world that we like. I mean, I really like taste, but he didn't have to give me taste. He could have just gave us food or not. And I really like colors when he didn't have to give us colors. And I like the variations of sounds that music, but he didn't have to give us sound. So God blessed us abundantly above giving us things that we want or desire or that bring beauty or joy or happiness or fulfillment and all the things. And so whatever you create something good that the world wants. Make the world better somehow. And so that's who you are, and that's who you're called to be. And so don't be fearful or bashful or small-minded about what you're creating as an entrepreneur or movement leader. Instead, recognize, hey, I'm made to create a better world. And so dream big and create something extraordinary. And when you start believing that, when you start recognizing, like, I'm a creator made in the image of God, you start going, I can create whatever I want. So one of the things that I'm creating right now is I'm creating a movement of movement leaders. And if you're an influencer, entrepreneur, someone who's a leader in movements and wants to do big things with your life, I'm creating a community of movement leaders. Okay. And so that's one way that I'm recreating the world. There's also some other fun things that we're doing. We're buying up media companies because I want to fight back against just the dysfunction that's in the world, especially that's pervaded through media. And so I'm on a mission to buy 100 million media channels so that I can create movies and publish things and create things through our various companies and get the message out that will actually help people and make the world better. So if you're interested in fighting back, or you're interested in being part of a movement to change the world, a movement to multiply other movements that matter, just type movements below this, whether you're watching on YouTube or whatever. But that's my message for you today. You are Imago Dei, as it said in the Latin. You are made in the image of God. You're not lacking anything. Anything that you might be lacking, because you're a creator, you can solve with your creativity. You can put deals together. You can put relationships together. You can find other beings who are made in the image of God and partner them all together in a cause to create the world that you're looking to create. And when you know who you are, you don't operate out of lack. You'll operate out of creativity, and you'll do big things. So don't make the mistake I did. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, every time at every level now, Alex, now I'm like, oh my gosh, like I find many times that I'm settling for a level that I'm on, and I realize that I'm capable of so much more. And I'm like, why do I settle? And the answer is always the same, because I didn't believe. Can I say that again? Why do we settle? Answer, because we don't believe. What don't we believe? We either don't believe in the identity of who God is, or we don't believe in the identity that he gave us. And so, Imago Dei, you're made to be a creator. I want to encourage somebody today, go create your world. And if you want to be a part of the world that I'm putting together with other movement leaders, creators, world changers, entrepreneurs, etc., just type in movements below. Looking forward to talking to you on the other side. So fun. Thanks for being here today. Bye.